Hey guys, David Patrick Green, davidpatrickgreen.com, hackhollywood.com, actorpower.com. So today, guys, I want to get philosophical on you. I want to talk about a really deep question. The question is, what is acting? Well, I know for a lot of you, acting means going to an acting school, going to a college or university, doing a BFA, doing an MFA, really immersing yourselves in it. Maybe it's taking a cold reading class or a scene study class. Maybe it's a 2-year method acting class, Sanford Meisner, Stella Adler, one of those historical figures, working at it day and night, preparing a scene for weeks on end, getting that character down. And, that's what I thought it was too. I took a 2-year class, and then I took improv, and I took scene study and improv, if I didn't say that already, and cold reading, all of that stuff. I did it all. And, what I really learned doing all that was I need to prepare, right? You start at one stage and then you take the character to the next stage, and you take the scene from sitting and just reading the lines to getting it on its feet and then really acting out every single moment. And so then when you're done, when you're finished one of these programs, that's your methodology, right? You have this process. And I started going around to screenings in LA of all the big movies, and the big movie stars would be there answering questions. And this is before I'd ever worked on a professional set. And I would always ask these people. I've asked some of the biggest people like Ray Liotta and Dustin Hoffman. Once at a Sundance premiere that I screamed from the back of a 5,000 seat auditorium, and I yelled to Dustin Hoffman, I said, "What is your preparation process?" And Ray Liotta asked him the same thing. I asked every single actor I could get. My Peter Dinklage from Game of Thrones. I asked him for when I saw a screening of the movie The Station Agent, which was fantastic. But I asked all these people what their preparation was, and they really didn't have much of an answer for me. They said, really, you don't have a lot of time to prepare often. I said, what's your rehearsal process? Well, there is no rehearsal. And Ray Liotta said, well, you just got to pretty much do the work on your own. You do it all on your own. And I couldn't understand that because I hadn't done any real acting yet, just in class. So I thought, you're going to get together with your scene partners and practice this stuff. And none of this stuff happens in the professional world. And what I found was that in the professional world, and this is where you should take notes, because this is where your perception of reality and being taught how to act is going to clash violently with reality. Because the reality of the professional world is almost the more money they spend on the project and the bigger the project is, the less preparation you have. Okay, the less preparation time, the less access you have to any sort of preparation, getting the script ahead of time. It's crazy, but it's true, and it's really taken me a long time to boil it down to this. I may expand on some of these ideas a little bit later, but I just want to boil down really what I've learned, and especially recently this year, because I worked on the biggest movie that I've ever worked on. It was, I don't know what the budget was. It's probably somewhere between $100 and $200 million. And I got the job very quickly based on old tape of mine. And then I did an audition and I got the part, but then the part I auditioned for wasn't the part they gave me. And the part that they had given me changed completely from the time I got on the plane to the time I got off the plane, where they flew me to shoot the thing. And then my interpretation of the material turned out to be all wrong when I got to the set, because I had been given so little material. I had no idea about really any of the facts outside of my little scenes. And so I basically had to throw everything out the window. I threw it out the window like 5 times. basically where you're left is all you have is your wits and your sort of trust in your own instincts that you can make something out of the information that they give you. Whether they give you the information 2 months ago or whether they give you the information 2 minutes ago, you just have to basically trust that you have instincts that will carry you through the material once you know what it is. Okay, so you basically read the stuff, you go, okay, I'm here, I'm doing this, those are the facts, that's what's going on. And then they tell you to act. And to make matters worse, I was doing this scene completely on my own, talking to someone over a headset, and that person wasn't even talking back to me. So I didn't even know what they were saying back to me. I had my ideas and I expressed my ideas to the writer, producer, director, and they basically said, no, it's not like that. So every single instinct I had was wrong, and I had to just change everything. And so, you know, you're lucky at least if you have someone talking back to you, because at least then you can, you know, play off of something. But everything I was playing off was completely imaginary. I was looking at screens, monitors, and there was something happening on them, but it wasn't really happening. It was all happening here, and they wouldn't even tell me what it was. Like, it was very vague. So you can imagine if I had to do that fresh out of acting school, where to do a scene I was given 6 weeks to prepare. If I was then thrown onto a set and said, here, do this, I would have had a heart attack. I mean, I probably would have thrown myself off the closest bridge, because I would have been like, oh my gosh, I'm going to embarrass myself so much that, you know, I can't do this. I would have just frozen. I would have said, what, are you crazy? Like, are you nuts? This doesn't make sense. And yet that is the reality. So the bottom line is, and this is the funny thing and the ironic thing, is that what acting really is what you did in the basement with your friends as a little kid. That's if you had a basement. Wherever you played with your friends and you made up little scenarios, like, let's play Cowboys and Indians, and I know that's not politically correct, pardon me, but, you know, let's do whatever, let's do hospital, let's pretend we're camping, the fire department, blah, 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 whatever it is you did with your friends, and you just had a few facts that you made up, and then you played them. That is exactly what acting is. And I would say, out of all the professional jobs I've had, I never really have had the material for more than a few days. And yeah, I mean, like, I remember even when I had a 9-episode arc on a TV series, we would get the scripts and we would sit down, and my scenes had no connection to what anybody else was doing, and I couldn't really figure out what was going on. I was just, you know, talking, and yet that's really what acting is. That is what acting is. It's play, it's playing, you know, it's imaginary playtime, and it happens like that. Because anytime you bring a bunch of ideas to the set, the chances are they're not compatible with everyone else's ideas. So if everyone brought their own ideas, rather than just sort of showing up, knowing whatever facts they know, but not making up a bunch of stuff, if everyone showed up with all these crazy ideas, imagine how incompatible they would all be. So you kind of just have to show up all with the same set of facts. And then you just play off of one another and the facts and the circumstances. And that is acting. It's you and your friends in the basement when your parents have finally left you alone and you're like in your imaginary little worlds. And I know nowadays you're all down there with your little devices. And that's the sad thing, because there's no natural training for acting anymore. You know, kids don't really get together without some electronic device. They're not just throwing together pillows and blankets and pushing coffee tables into sofas and creating a fort and, you know, playing war in the fort. That's what we used to do. And nowadays, I don't even know if my audience even knows what I'm talking about. What do you mean you played together and you did stuff and you made believe? Like, we all have devices. We have smartphones, iPhones, Android phones. We've got tablets. What are you talking about? When would you ever not be without one? And, maybe if you are a person who has grown up with all those devices, it's time to put the damn thing down, because you're missing out on life, and life is what allows you to then act life. Because if your reality is all this, then what understanding would you ever have of a scene where this wasn't taking place, right? So guys, put the devices down, especially as actors. And you know what? If you're a parent, make sure that not all of their time, all of their playtime is with a device, and make sure that it's not all organized. Make them entertain themselves once in a while, because that's where they get to use their creativity and their independent thought. And that's how they can go on to become artists and entertainers, actors, writers. If everything is always presented to you, then there's no need for an imagination. Okay, then you become basically, you're in the matrix. You're not really an independent person. You're part of a matrix, basically, where they dictate to you what you should be doing. Okay, so anyway, acting is literally improvisation, and you make it up, or somebody else makes up the facts. It's like, okay, whose turn is it to come up with the scenario, right? It's, again, you and your friends in the basement. Whose turn is it to come up with the scenario? Oh, it's Simon's turn. Okay, Simon, what are we doing? Okay, well, we're going to be in a news broadcast van, and we're broadcasting the news from the UN, and a bunch of aliens invade the UN, and that's what you're looking at on your screen. And then then some superheroes come in, the Avengers come in, and there's a big battle that breaks out, okay? And so we're going to be the people in the van, and we're going to be talking about this and reacting to it, okay? And that's Simon's idea, and everybody's like, okay, I'll play the, I'll play the reporter, I'll play the news director, I'll play the cameraman, blah, blah, blah. That's it. That's all you get. So that's what acting is, ultimately. Practice all this other stuff, I suppose, but honestly, a lot of what they teach you in acting school is kind of the, not the worst case scenario, but it's the best case scenario. It's like you're going to get to do the lead in Shakespeare, right? You get given this really deep material that was written 500 years ago, so you really have to be careful with it, and there's a lot of depth and meaning and all of that, and you have to really understand the material because it's very tricky. That's what they have you do, very iconic stuff. And they have you playing the leads, and when you're playing people from different eras, people that are completely dissimilar to you, that you would never normally be cast in because you are so not right for it, then, that's sort of the best case scenario of your acting dreams. I want to play, King Lear, or I want to play, well, it's pretty much going to have to be iconic old material, because new material, no one's ever seen it before. So there's no writing to really honor. There's no big character buildup you have to do. It's really the kind of current, contemporary, living in the moment type of stuff. That's going to be 99% of the stuff that you do as an actor. It doesn't require a lot of examination of character. Now, if you're playing like Black Panther, some Marvel character, you don't really need to know where you went to school and all that stuff, because you just are the Black Panther. You're dressed like the Black Panther. You look like the Black Panther. They give you the weapons of the Black Panther, and the scenario and all the facts and the lighting and the sound and all that stuff is provided. It's given. So all you have to do is understand this is your world and you live in it, and now you're faced with challenges. And what do you do? Well, you're a superhero, and they say, instead of cowering like under a desk, which is what most people would do, you do the opposite. You pull out your sword and you're like, let's go, dude. And you start fighting people. And it'll say, you got hit and you got hurt. Okay, I'm hurt, but you're not dead. So you keep fighting. Right? Like, that's it. And so what you need to do is learn to trust yourself. Learn to trust your instincts. Learn to read scripts and learn to memorize quickly. But, the facts alone will help you memorize, because part of the facts are the words, right? So there's the words that describe the scenario. We are in New York City. It's the wintertime. You're in a bank. Those are facts, and they come from those words. And then there's the dialogue words. Hey, Green Goblin, I'm going to stop you from robbing this bank, which is not hard to remember when you know you're in a bank in New York City and he's robbing it, right? It becomes a lot easier to remember things when you just work on this fact basis. So, I don't want to diss acting schools and universities, but what they're teaching you is to prepare you for the most, incredible acting challenges ever. And unfortunately, most of us will never get to do those things. And on top of that, unfortunately, double unfortunately, we won't get to do them because we are not able to act on cue. We are not able to just take information, look at it and go, oh, okay, I know what the scenario is. Let's go for it. Well, let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens, which is what is going to happen most of the time. So if you're caught up in preparing for King Lear, that mentality, that mode, and all of a sudden they just give you material and go, give it a shot. And you're kind of like, what? What are you talking about? I need time to prepare depth. I want to be Jim Carrey in Man on the Moon. I'm going to walk around for 6 weeks as Andy Kaufman. Oh, hello, Alex. Oh, don't call me Jim. I am Andy Kaufman. Like, if you're thinking that you have 6 weeks to prepare for stuff, then when someone goes, bam, do it now, you're going to be like, okay, where's the nearest bridge that I can jump off of? Right? So anyway, guys, I just wanted to help you guys understand what acting really is, okay? And 99% of it, the contemporary stuff, most of us will be doing, unless maybe you live in England or Europe and they're doing battle scenes in 1800s, Emily Bronte and Shakespeare and all that stuff. 99% of the stuff you're going to be doing in North America is contemporary, realistic, could be fantastic, but it's still more or less grounded in the present, and you don't have to do any strange behavior because everything will be done with special effects. So you basically got your grounded real life scenarios, but with extraordinary events occurring. Like walking down the street, and all of a sudden the concrete in front of me surges up into a giant wave, and then Godzilla jumps out of the earth, and then what do we do? That's as crazy as it's going to get, and that doesn't change the fact that you're like, holy shit, it's Godzilla. I don't know, I'm not going to say it's Godzilla because I've never seen Godzilla, right? But I'd be like, what the hell is that? Run for your lives. And that's kind of the stuff you're going to be doing. So you need to learn to just trust yourself and your own reactions, and don't try and do what you think they want you to do, because you will never figure out what they want, and they don't even know what they want. They're just saying, let's try it. Let's see what you do. So they want you to just turn off your brain and turn on your instincts. Okay. So like, what would you do if the sidewalk erupted in front of you and a giant lizard jumped out of it, blowing fire out of his mouth? Like, what would you do? But not just like in your life, but in the life of this character given these facts. Meaning, like, you're a scientist and you've been studying these lizards, and you suddenly see one that has been living under a nuclear reactor. And so you're like, oh my gosh, my worst nightmares have come true. It's a giant lizard. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, the first thing we got to do is get out of here. And then, later you're in the lab, you're like with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. You're like, what should we do, Doc? Do you want me to go kick its ass? And you're like, no, I think I know the solution to this problem, Mr. Dr. Johnson, bald, huge guy. So that's acting, guys. It's playing with your friends in the basement. That's going to be most of the time. If you can just do that, you're going to do great, because you can do that in auditions and you can do that on the set, and you're always able to just take a new fact that they throw at you. That's what's called a direction, is a new fact. Do it this way. Well, that way means what? Oh, you want me to be angry? Okay. Why am I angry? I better just decide that this guy's always like this. Let's try it as though he's always like this. You know, be more lighthearted. Okay, I'm going to change the stakes to, if this goes terribly wrong, it's not going to affect my life that much. I still get to go have dinner with my mom tonight. Right? You're just kind of making these spontaneous decisions. There's no right or wrong. It's just, how does it end up looking to them? So you come up with this solution on the you know, bam, because they told you that what you did was good, but they want you to do it a different way. So you kind of go, okay, you know, oh, Godzilla. Look, I know that, you know, this is imaginary because I've been taking a lot of psilocybin, magic mushrooms, and so this isn't really Godzilla, or this isn't really a giant lizard coming down the street. I know that, right? And your friend's like, no, it is. And you're like, what do you mean it is? Yeah, it is. It's a freaking giant lizard coming down the street. Oh my God, you know? So that just changes things up. When they give you a little direction, it's just a new fact. You add that fact to the facts you already have, and then you behave accordingly. And you don't need to talk about it. You just do it, and they like it or they don't like it. And if they don't like it, they'll tell you to do it a different way. They never tell you if they like it or don't like it. They just go, yeah, that was good. Why don't we try it this way? And, you know, half the time their direction means nothing at all. And I'm someone who likes specifics because I want to give them what they want. But then I realize they don't know what they want. They just want to see what I will do given some new facts. And then they're like, oh, yeah, I like that better. It just somehow fits better with the scenario, right? So anyway, guys, that is acting. Like I said, I don't mean to diss all these other schools and methods, but at the end of the day, you don't get that time, okay? And nobody tells you this. So I'm here to tell you the truth. And that's all I'm ever going to do, is tell you the truth, whether you like it or not, whether it gets me millions of followers or not. I'm not here to do that. I'm not here to be popular. I'm here to help you understand how acting works and how the business works and how you can easily be a successful actor if you just follow some really simple fundamental steps and show up prepared for the reality of the situation and not be all confused by what you thought you knew because of what you learned in some kind of acting school or program. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like it, because I want to be liked. And subscribe to my channel and tell your friends and your family and former relationships. Just trying to go through the F's and kind of hitting a brick wall there. Anyway, yeah, if you enjoyed this, subscribe to my channel, and you'll get more of these videos as soon as possible. And I will talk to you soon.